the outset, I'll apologize if you find my voice not very clear because I'm having a bad throat, but I'll try to be as clear as possible. So, dear friends on the dais, organizers of the GRPC 2026, all the colleagues from the industry here, friends from the press, it's really a great pleasure, although I'm missing Mr. G.C. Chaturvedi here, who was my boss in my previous stint at Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. We are actually passing through a very, very difficult time. Hopefully tomorrow will be the last day of that difficult period. It has been very illuminating, I think, to many parts of the world, what a crisis can do to national systems, especially when it relates to energy. Because energy, in a sense, as long as it flows, we ignore it, and we feel the impacts in full measure if there is even the slightest shortfall. This has exposed quite a lot of fault lines in many countries. Not only countries like India, which have heavy import dependence, but also countries like the United States, the entire region of Europe, where one would not have imagined to see the kind of challenges, small disruptions in the supply chains have caused, not only to the economies, but having secondary impacts on activities where the role of energy is not so obvious. India has been able to really manage with great difficulty under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister with certain guardrails about maintaining stability, about ensuring that there are no large shocks to the different parts of economy, giving the ministry a free hand on managing various challenges as they have emerged, maybe within 24 hours of doing X. What we have learned in these past almost 100 days is that we cannot be dependent on meeting our energy needs through one region, through one nation. And therefore, as a matter of policy, even before I came here, the Honorable Minister has taken several efforts to diversify our energy procurement portfolio. We procure from as many as 41 countries, crude alone. LPG became quite a big challenge because I think maybe India is the only country in the world which uses LPG in such large extent for cooking needs. There are many nations which use LPG, Japan being one of them, Europe is another one. But I think they use it for different purposes, not domestic purposes. As a fuel, as when you mentioned the direct cash transfer program, it was a seminal program, essentially to move people away from wood, biomass-based energy dependence into a cleaner fuel. But I don't think we realized at that time that we are building a single source dependence on the Strait of Hormuz. We import roughly 50% of our LPG. 90% of that was coming from Strait of Hormuz. And when it choked, that source of supply was gone. It was managed through several measures, and I think all those measures will help us in the long run. Many of them you all or your wives or your daughters would have felt that these changes have caused some adjustment issues for different households. But for example, we used to have roughly only 80% OTP-based deliveries. It has gone to 95% and above. That explains why the black market prices are so high, because the black market cylinders are so few in number. The demand is maybe the same. And now even the black market complaints are far and very few. This has happened also because we were able to increase our LPG domestic production from about 34 to about 54 today, TMT per day. Thanks to summer, the demand reduced a little bit. Thanks to the industry, which collaborated and moved away to PNG for pure heating purposes. Thanks to hotels and restaurants who found new ways to move on to electricity. It has been a collaborative effort for which, not only the government, but the citizens, the industry, and all of you also deserve equal measure of praise. The state governments also worked very hard. I just want to share these numbers. 2.5 lakh raids were conducted during the last 90 days, 100 days. 1,400 odd FIRs were registered against black marketing. 77,000 LPG cylinders were seized. Show cause notices were issued to many distributors in the chain, numbering about 4,000. Why I'm saying all this is that when we talk of transforming molecules and transforming markets, the market size of India is so large, so varied, that having one-shoe-fits-all approach will not work. The other aspect of this management has been the price. If you see many parts of the world, prices have gone up by about 40–50%. India has managed with a very minute, I would say micro-level price increase of about 6 to 7%. In the last 3 months, which is Q1 of this year, the losses of the oil marketing companies, contrary to public reporting by many, is close to 1 lakh crores. Maybe in the second half of this year, we might wipe off the entire profits of the last year. If you look at the combined revenue of my oil marketing companies, the three of them, they hardly make 2 to 3% margin on the revenue, while the standard profit margins are 5 to 6% across the world of comparable companies. These companies' borrowings are hitting their limits. They have increased tremendously because they have borne the burden. These are all actual things which are there on the balance sheet. One cannot say that, there has been no loss to these companies. Government has reduced the excise by 10 rupees. The annual loss would be about 1 lakh crore from the government's budget, which would otherwise have come to the OMCs. So I think I'm just telling all this in this conference. Maybe it's not directly relevant to the topic here. But it is important because these are all the dependencies we have built up by purely depending on fossil fuel. And therefore, moving on to the net zero just does not mean that we do decarbonization. It should also mean that we think about energy security. It should also think that we think about farmers' incomes. It should also improve our manufacturing capability in India. It should also mean that we have a trading system which is resilient, where India can use trade for strategic advantage. Therefore, the downstream sector must play an important role in transforming from a single fuel to multiple fuels, which should add and help towards the goal of net zero. Multiple feedstocks, use of multiple chemical pathways for doing it, using waste to be able to support this transition. How do you use biogenic carbon rather than depending on fossil carbon into future-ready molecules? I hope that this conference here today will discuss issues of net zero not in isolation, but to meet these important goals. Our structural dependence on imports, dependence on processes, technologies, catalysts, enzymes, critical materials. These are all things which will fall in the ambit of your discussions. So how do we make India independent from these dependencies? The Honorable Prime Minister has, in a meeting, said, please go ahead and produce as much as you can. He made an announcement from the ramparts of the Red Fort about the Samudra Manthan program, which is deep sea exploration. India has pretty much explored. So this will be another component of the energy security, reducing dependence on foreign. We are also launching, as part of the Samudra Manthan, a manufacturing zone for oil and gas sector. And when I said manufacturing, this is what I meant. I urge you, as and when this program is announced, and as you take back this message to your boardrooms, tell that India's oil and gas manufacturing is also coming to fruition. When we spoke about alternative molecules, biofuels is obviously one of them. Ethanol from sugarcane streams, we already have a E20. There are testing going on E25. Standards are coming of fuels of higher blending percentages. Flex fuel vehicles are being launched. And these are all pathways which will enable us to use maybe biogenic carbon more effectively. A SAF program is also in place, and we know that a lot of manufacturing and plants are coming up to use sustainable feedstocks and make ATF a more environment-friendly industry. Another program which is in the offing, which I want to share with you, is an old program. When I was a sub-collector, we used to, do the biogas. That is, really long time ago. Maybe it was a technology whose time had not come then. But today, compressed biogas program is showing quite a few green shoots in many pilot plants, many full-scale plants. And this is an aim we want to bring into the net zero pathway as well. A large program is in the anvil. We are trying to put that as soon as possible. But that will be a great opportunity for any industry, any company here who wishes to maybe diversify. I think I don't have anything else to say. But I hope that, the recommendations from this August gathering here will reach us on any of these subjects, and we would be happy to collaborate with you, have an open mind, discuss with you, and figure out a joint way forward for making Indian economy not just net zero, but Atmanirbhar, independent from foreign dependence, become a source of technology and fuels to the rest of the world. We are already a large refiner. We'll become even larger. We may become a dominant refiner. And as the gentleman before me was talking about that, this refining will become more and more AI-driven, nature-friendly, environment-friendly. And those are all the topics which are, as I see the program, are listed today. So look forward to your recommendations, and thank you for this opportunity.